You've adjusted your schedule. You've planned date nights. You've tried to be more present, more patient, and more available. You've done all of this while also managing a career, keeping things running at home, and stuffing down a lot of your own frustration because you don't want to make things worse. And it's still not working. Not because you're not trying hard enough, and not because your marriage is beyond repair. It's because working harder is not what closes this gap. I know that sounds counterintuitive. Effort is the thing that has produced everything else you've built, so why shouldn't it work here? Well, that's exactly what this is about. I'm Alyssa Steins, a licensed clinical social worker and the founder of the Intimacy Upgrade. I work with high-achieving men who are navigating disconnection in their marriages. Men that are trying, who care, and who can't figure out why nothing is landing. By the end of this video, you're going to understand 3 things. Why effort works in almost every other area of your life, but consistently backfires in close relationships. What's actually happening in your nervous system when emotional conversations get hard, and why your defaults, however reasonable they might seem, increase disconnection rather than reduce it. I'm also going to show you what the shift actually looks like, because it's not about doing more. It's about building a specific capacity that most high-achieving men were never taught. Most of the men I work with are not the problem they've been told they are, and I bet you're the same. You're high-achieving, capable, and deeply invested in your marriage. When something isn't working, you do what's worked everywhere else. You identify the issue, you adjust your approach, you increase the effort, and you measure the results that follow. At work, that works. At work, effort plus strategy produces results. The relationship between what you put in and what you get out is very predictable. In close relationships, though, it's not. When you apply that same approach to disconnection in marriage, that adjusting, adding, pushing through, something predictable happens. That disconnection grows because increased effort without emotional capacity adds pressure and not connection. Trying harder in a marriage often looks like forcing yourself to stay in conversations when you're already past your limit. It looks like over-functioning to keep the peace, doing more, volunteering more, agreeing to do more, so that things start to feel smoother. It looks like suppressing your own reactions because you don't want to make things worse. And from the outside, all of that looks like care. And it is. But it's not the kind she needs. And it's also exhausting for you because over time, it starts quietly breeding resentment. Now, for your wife who's watching this happen, that effort often reads as tense or transactional. It doesn't feel like care, even when your intentions are entirely good. The issue is not that you're not trying. The issue is that your doing creates more pressure in a situation that doesn't need more pressure. Here's what's actually happening. Most men were never taught how to stay emotionally regulated when pressure rises in a relationship. Now, that's not a character flaw. It's just something that most environments, professional, academic, cultural, it's what they required. What you were taught, either implicitly or explicitly, is a different set of responses. When you're under emotional pressure, the nervous system defaults to what it knows. And for most high-achieving men, that looks like fixing the problem. If something's wrong, find the cause and address it. It's explaining your intentions. If you're being misread, clarify. It's pulling back. Even if the conversation is escalating, you think that creating that distance is going to allow things to cool down. You push through. If you're uncomfortable, just override it and keep moving. Now, in a professional context, most of those work. They're efficient and they're functional. They get things resolved. But in an intimate relationship, they do just the opposite. Fixing the problem when your partner needs to feel heard makes her feel unheard. Explaining your intentions when she needs you to understand her feels like the subject is being changed. Pulling back when she needs presence confirms the distance. Pushing through discomfort creates tension that closes things down rather than opens them up. Now, none of these things are things that you've done wrong intentionally. They're the defaults of your nervous system operating under pressure with the only tools it has. Over time, something predictable starts to happen. That man who's been trying hard, adjusting, over-functioning, suppressing, you start to feel quietly resentful. Not because you don't love your wife, but because nothing you do seems to land. You're told to be more emotionally available, more present, more open, but no one explains how. This instruction without the skill set creates a situation where you keep trying and keep failing, and every cycle of that reinforces the feeling that you're the problem, that something is fundamentally wrong with how you're built. That feeling is not accurate. What it's telling you is not real, and it's very important for me to tell you that clearly. This is not a motivation problem. You've demonstrated that you're motivated. You're listening to this now. This is a capacity problem, a missing skill set, something that was never built because no environment you were ever in required it. And the good news is that capacity is something that can be built. Real change doesn't come from doing more. It comes from building the ability to regulate your nervous system in difficult moments, to slow a conversation down instead of pushing through it, to recognize when you're approaching overwhelm and tending to that before you shut down or you snap, to begin to respond intentionally instead of reacting automatically. These are emotional skills under pressure, and they are learnable. Now, when they're in place, effort starts working again because it's no longer driven by pressure. It's driven by actual connection. The difference in how that feels is significant, not just for your wife, but for you too. Most of the men that I work with describe a moment partway through the work where they realize they're not managing the relationship anymore, but they're actually in it, and it usually feels pretty damn good. That shift is not something that's dramatic, and it's not something that announces itself, but it does change everything. Before you can build these skills, you need clarity on what's actually happening in your specific situation. You deserve to understand which patterns are running the relationship before anything else. You don't need generic communication advice, and you don't need something else to just try to work harder at. You deserve a specific picture of what is happening and why. And that's what the Disconnection Audit is designed to give you. It's a short, private assessment, takes about 5 minutes, that identifies which disconnection patterns are most active in your relationship. You get a specific result from it and not a score. You get a pattern name and a description of what that pattern looks like and feels like from the inside. You can find a link to it in the description below. I also want you to know that I have more videos that are coming in this series that are going to go deeper on specific patterns, like what's happening in your nervous system during conflict, why couples therapy often backfires for men, and what it actually looks like when things start to change. Subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss any of those. We'll talk soon.